Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about how I farmed my first 100 Exalts in Archnemesis. Now this strat basically made me enough money to buy my Headhunter early, and way more than that. As you can see, I farmed up a storm. I actually enjoy this league so much. I cannot stop mapping. It is so much fun. You don't have to invest much. This is a very, very low investment method. Now, something I want to say up front is that right now, everything is super up in the air in terms of Atlas passive tree and stuff like that. Everybody just goes with the flow, tries out different things. So by no means am I going to state here that this is like the best farming method or any of the best. This is just something I stuck with and that I tried out and that I can vouch for. And I say that because we're kind of in a honeymoon phase with the Atlas passive tree. Nobody really has done like numbers or has done like spreadsheets or has done thousands of maps to actually get a good glimpse on what is OP and what is not, right? Everybody's kind of just like trying things out. So if somebody tells you he or she has the best strat, most likely it's bullshit. And I also want to point out that nothing I will say in this video is like super original, right? I definitely took a lot of inspiration from people like Grimro, Firegrass, Tuna, right? When new things come out, it's always super helpful to have a broader perspective than just your own and listen to what other people that you respect have to say. So a big shout out to Grimro, especially. He has done absolute God's work this patch. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the strategy. So we're kind of trying to combine two of the strongest things in terms of currency this league. Number one is the Eater of Worlds influence. We'll talk all about it. And number two are Strongboxes that got insane help from the passive tree. We also have other things to help out like shrines and essences, but they're just there to complement this strategy, right? You have a lot of points to spend, so might as well spend them in places where you can make a lot more money. So what I was trying to achieve with this farming method is that on the one side, we can abuse a lot of these altars of the Eater of Worlds, which we're going to talk about, combined with all the league mechanics that don't really slow you down that much. So if we're talking, for example, about Breach or Abysses or Legions, right? We're talking, or Blight. We're talking about league mechanics that make your map like twice as long, right? If you have multiple of them, it might make it take 3 or 4 times as long. But that is not what we're going for. Because, and this is kind of a mind bender here, is like the longer your map takes, the less free stuff you will actually get per map because you're doing less maps, right? The more maps you do, the more stuff like an additional essence, an additional strongbox, an additional shrine actually means. Because there's a difference between running 30 maps per hour and getting 30 additional essences, strongboxes, and whatnot, or like having very juicy maps with like breaches and abysses and whatnot. But you don't get that many because your maps now take that much longer. So the Alch-and-Go playstyle, which is basically just what you call low investment, fast map clears, just kind of felt like a perfect fit for this. Now I want to quickly go over the Eater of Worlds influence next, because this one is actually pretty crazy. So what this influence basically does is that during your map, you will have influenced monsters, just as you know it from like Elder or Shaper, but upon killing them, you have a chance to get an altar. And that altar basically gives you a choice to make. You can get passive bonuses for your map, or bonuses upon killing influenced monsters, like getting scarabs or getting the new currencies, which we're going to talk about. And I want to go into this more in the map showcase that I will do, but basically all you have to know is that this gives you a ton of extra currency. And we are supporting this one big time because it is actually worth to support. Number one, and this is the reason why I go for the Eater of Worlds influence instead of the Searing Exarch influence. Now, one of the reasons is that Searing Exarch is actually extremely dodgy. There's so much damage over there, so unless your build is really tanky, you will get decimated, right? But number two is also that this node here straight up gives you 50% increased chance to find Eater of World altars in areas, which is just stronger than the counterpart you have here. But by no means does that mean you cannot also go Searing Exarch if you wish to. This is just more focused on the blue side of things, right? But we're going further, right? We're going for extra chance for the new currencies to be duplicated. If you don't know what the new currencies are, basically if you go into your currency tab and you go influence, these are the new things that you apply to your items to get the new implicits, right? You can also get these here, but as you can see here, I kind of farmed up a storm during the last few days, and yeah, they're gonna sell pretty well. They're currently at like 1 chaos per. These ones are like 3 chaos per. These are like 4 to 5 chaos per in bulk. This might obviously change with this method going out. I have no idea how it's gonna go, but basically you take all the influence you can get. And these small nodes here give you 5% increased pack size of all the influenced mobs. This one is kind of like, okay, it's nothing big. And then you might be confused why I also go for these Searing Exarch nodes here. And the reason is basically just that these small nodes actually do not discriminate between different influences. It might look like a Searing Exarch node, but this also stacks with this pack size here. And you can easily check this by simply going over to your stats menu here, and you have influenced monster packs in areas have 40% increased pack size. So these mods actually do stack up with the other side of things. If you want to do Searing Exarch, all you have to do is do the same thing like here, but over there. So whatever, right? But yeah, it is very important that you get as much pack size as possible, because then you get more mobs and more chance for altars. Now, the next part of this farming method will be Strongboxes. Now, if we look at all the Strongbox nodes, right, you can click here and then you see all the other Strongbox clusters. It's this cluster, this whole cluster, and then these nodes. I've literally taken every single point, and I mean that also the small points from Strongboxes. They're just that strong. And we start off with some pretty minor nodes, right? These nodes make it so there is a chance that you get another pack of monsters, which is just good EXP, good drops, right? You get an additional Strongbox, which is cute and all. But then we get into the juice. Number one, we get Strongbox in areas are corrupted, which is actually something you want. Now, just to make sure you understand, sometimes it will happen that you will drop corrupted normal maps, which are basically bricks, right? But that shouldn't really discourage you, because you're going to make up more than that with all the divines you're going to drop. Not only that you're going to drop a lot of sixlings that you can then turn into divines, also just the fact that all of your Strongboxes are rare and you don't have to alch every single one of them save you so much time, right? And with all the multipliers that we have to like Strongbox mobs and drops, you definitely want to have them all rare, right? So if you just think about how annoying it is at every Strongbox to like go here and maybe have your alchs over there, then you have to click over it. Maybe there's like mobs around you, so they kind of interrupt you. It's kind of annoying, right? So just that alone makes this node definitely worth it. As well as that, we have a huge node in secret operations, which just makes it so 6% of your Strongboxes will be converted to a Strongbox that has not only scarabs, it states here scarabs, right? But it also gives you map currency. And we're talking a lot. We're talking like Orbs of Unmaking, right? These ones here, which cost like 2C each. We're talking Awakened Sextants, right? Which are also around about 2 chaos each. So they drop like in stacks of 10 or something, which is because of one of the other nodes, that is Backup Cache. This is probably the craziest node in terms of Strongboxes on the tree, because when I first looked at this cluster, I actually thought it was garbage. And that was because I was being stupid, right? So I looked here, I was like, oh, increased quantity, cool. And then I looked here, Strongboxes in areas have 30% increased chance to be an Arcanist Strongbox. It's like, whatever, right? And then I came here and it was like, oh, so whenever it's an Arcanist, the currency gets duplicated. But that's not true, right? It gets duplicated no matter what Strongbox it is. So you have a lot of like just normal Strongboxes that will drop like 2 to 4 fusings, a chaos right here, an Orb of Regret there, and they all get copied. And when we're talking about completing maps fast, then that sums up real quickly. It doesn't sound like much, but it sums up real quickly. Now, as well as that, I also took both other ones. This one is probably the weakest one. You duplicate divination cards, which is only really relevant for the diviners Strongboxes, which do actually appear quite often. I would say every 5th map or something, if you're actually using the Ambush Scarabs, right? You get a Diviner Strongbox, but overall they have been pretty lackluster, so this is definitely the weakest link. Still worth it in my opinion. But you also have the duplicated maps, which smooths out map sustain by a lot. So you have a very, very strong Strongbox package. Together with the fact that we're kind of Alch-and-Go, we want to go for stuff that doesn't slow us down, right? And Strongboxes definitely provide that. Now, as for other nodes that we're taking, we're having 2 more League mechanics that we got in here. They are not really focused or anything, but they're just too good not to get, and they don't really slow us down either, so they fit right into what we try to achieve. Number 1 is actually Shrines, and Shrines not only don't slow us down, they actually make us faster, because we're also using the Gull Helmet. But don't get me wrong, you do not have to use the Gull. It is very, very nice in basically every farming strat that includes Shrines, but it is not necessary. I would still use the Shrine nodes if I don't have a Gull, and that is simply because every Shrine has mobs around them just by spawning, right? It can be magic mobs, it can be white mobs, but you get more mobs, which is always what you want, and it doesn't slow you down. You can still hit a speed Shrine. It will still make you extremely fast, and there is a lot more upsides to Shrines, so definitely include them. And we take Supplication here, which gives us an additional Shrine, and you can always click in the middle, then you can see the other nodes. Number 2 is here, Drawn to Power, just gives you more free mobs. You have Syncretism, which is huge. Whenever you press a shrine, right, you get another shrine effect, another random shrine effect, which basically makes it double as likely for you to actually hit a speed shrine, which is huge, right? That is just, you are on Headhunter level now. So this node is incredible. It also gives increased effects of shrines to make you even faster. And then at the end here, we have all that glitters. Now you have a chance that a shrine will instead become a covetous shrine, and all these do is they basically give you quantity, they give you rarity, and you take a little bit more damage. It's not that big of a deal. Also, these small nodes give you even more chance to get an additional shrine. You might be confused by the essence part of this. A lot of people are like talking about, oh my god, essences are so like nobody wants essences. There's so many out there. It's just not true, right? It does not matter whether essences are like 1/4 of the price of last league when you literally drop like 4 to 8 times as many with some of these nodes. Like this node here completely changed the game. Monsters imprisoned by a shrieking essence in areas will be duplicated when released. Now that in combination with amplified energies, which means that essences found in areas are tier higher, basically means that you always have a shrieking. So what this node does is it copies the essence straight up, right? It gives you 2 essences instead of 1, which is just ridiculous. And then on top of that, you also have the 15% chance to have free additional essence on every essence. So whenever somebody tells you that essences just aren't that worth anymore, it doesn't matter. You get way more than you got last league. So definitely don't forget that. Now, in terms of map sustain, we're actually using Shaping the Valleys, Shaping the Seas, Shaping the Skies, and Shaping the Mountains. Now, a lot of people were talking about like what Chris talked about in the reveal, right? When I talked about people are going to unspec the map nodes once you're done with the Atlas or something. Now you can get more currency. But it was, a lot of us already knew this would be kind of bullshit, because if you get excess maps, you just sell them, right? There's no real problem with that. And if you want to sustain one map, I would highly recommend these map nodes. But they're basically the ones that you can play around with if you don't feel like you need them. And then one more thing that might confuse you is me pathing around up top here when I could just connect here. Why am I doing it? Well, the reason is I would take these points anyways. It's just an illusion. I would take these points every single time, every single one of these points, and they're only on top of here and on top of here, right? These small points are definitely worth a point. They're 2% increased effective modifiers on non-unique maps. And if we take any map here, we can just look at it. That means that your map gets harder, because obviously the map mods even get scaled higher. But it also means that the quantity, rarity, and pack size get scaled. And the same, by the way, goes for these 1% quant nodes. And if I had more points, I would take more into this. You always have to remember, right? It doesn't sound like much, but you're scaling like essences, strongboxes, like influence, and you're scaling like shrines. But these things count for everything. They're overarching, right? So they don't have to be that strong to be good, because they scale your essence, they scale your shrines, they scale everything in the map. But now let's actually do a map showcase, because I want to explain some things here. So number one, we're going to use on the map device, you have to activate this. Now, you get this once you're in like T14, T16 maps, and you can only use it on T14 or higher maps, if I remember correctly. And that is definitely the one we're going to use. That is vital for the build. We're just going to alch here. You definitely want to chisel it. And if it's good enough, we're not going to take this because I'm actually not capped. If I have the reduced effect of auras, we're just going to keep this. Doesn't really matter. We put it in, and now what we're going to use is we're going to use Ambush. Now look at how I'm actually using Ambush, but I'm not using Ambush Scarabs. Now Ambush Scarabs, as of this recording, and this can change, right? So be careful. If it gets better, it gets better. These are like 6 chaos each if you want to buy them in bulk right now. For 6 chaos, you get 3 Strongboxes, which sounds like a pretty bad deal to me. But with this one here, you get 4 for 4 chaos. So that's a lot better. That might not seem like a lot of difference to you, but I can assure you that if you run like hundreds of maps, and that's something you want to do here, right? You want to run a lot of maps real quickly, then that adds up real quickly. So I was using them earlier when they were like 4 chaos, but right now I don't feel like it's worth it. Definitely reevaluate yourself. But what I always would tell you is to go with cartography scarabs. You can use whatever you have. You can actually almost sustain them. We're going to talk about that in a second. But basically, that is all the investment you need. And even if you do not have 4 chaos per map, you can also even disable the ambush if you want to. But if you want to sustain one map, it's going to be rough not to. Now, as for map layout, there is 2 maps that are extremely good for this strategy, and I will tell you why. Number 1 is Mesa, and number 2 is City Squares. And the reason for that is that you can rush the boss as quickly as possible. And why is that? Well, let's get into the map real quick and let's actually see why. So when we're talking about altars that will pop up now, right? There's 3 different options of altars. One of them affects you globally within the map. One of them gives you a chance to get something on kill from a influence mob, and one amplifies the boss. So the boss ones are pretty bad overall compared to the other 2. So when you kill the boss right at the start, all those options don't appear anymore on your altars. So that way you have more chance to get the good ones. So before you kill the boss, try to kill as little mobs as possible. So in Mesa, basically you go up to this plateau and the boss is always going to be here in the middle. Obviously, if you have to kill something to stay alive, obviously do so. But you rush the boss, and now let's do him real quick. And after that, we can go for the altars, right? So basically the way Mesa works as a layout, while the boss is dying here, you have a inner circle and you have a outer circle. You can basically clear it however you want, but it's a very friendly layout and it's basically always the same. So it's very good for just mindlessly grinding. So let's see what we get here. This might be the first altar because there's like influence mobs right here. Okay, we got our first altar. Now let's look at this. So we have 2 options now. There's no more boss options. This here marks the kind of like the influence mob option, which is in this case 1% chance to drop additional item with either of World's implicits. These can actually be pretty huge. And then we have the player gains down. This is just like global in the whole map, not only for influence monsters. And this makes it so basic currency items dropped by enemies have 13% chance to be duplicated. What I usually do while mapping is I just press the ones that go for mobs early, right? Because they are usually really, really good. You can get chance to get scarabs. You can get chance to get the new currencies, which can be 1 to 5C a pop, and they drop quite often. So I'm just going to press this here real quickly, and you can get some of the influences that are actually really, really good. I'm not going to look at them, but yeah, so you can get like a good bases with like good implicits, and you can actually sell them. Do that if you'd like to, but I'm just going to go through here real quickly. Let's see if we get another altar anytime soon. Basically, what you do is first, I would say you do the inner circle. Now, always be aware of Strongboxes. Now, this is also one of the reasons why you don't want some of the janky layouts, by the way. It is because if you have a janky layout, you can miss Strongboxes, right? They could be in some kind of corner. But with clear-cut layouts like Mesa, that cannot really happen all that much. So let's quickly kill this essence over here. I think this map is actually pretty rough for my build. I'm doing like no damage, but that's fine. So let's go down. There could be another ritual. There could be another altar here, right? Let's just do this. Let's not do the ritual just to be a little bit more efficient. But yeah, basically you go through, you just kill everything. You get your 3 essence, you get your 3 shrines, right? A lot of mobs. If you have, don't forget these. So now we got the second one. 1.2% chance to drop an additional Eldritch Ichor currency. That is 1 chaos, right? The grand one, that's 5 chaos. So let's move on, right? And we're talking about a map that has no investment, basically. Okay, now we have 1% chance to get another item with either of Worlds. So more implicits. I'm not going to look at them just to be a little bit more efficient, but you definitely can. You can look up which ones are actually worth it. 1 chaos, right? And you just move on and you move on. And you have another chaos. You have more and more chance to get these altars, right? Right now, I think we have like 2, but there can be maps with like 7, 8 altars. If you get scarabs early, it's going to be an absolute shit show. Now here we hit one of the good strongboxes, the new scarab strongboxes. Let's see if we get something good. And we actually can activate it again because this is one of the things you get with these small nodes. You have a total of 6% chance that a strongbox can be opened again. So we click it again and now we get another one of these basically. So now let's kill that as well. And let's pick up all our scarabs right here, which is good monies. Let's move on. Now, we also have a random metamorph in the map. So as you can see here, there's a lot of free stuff. And this is just for investing 4 chaos into ambush. And then that's basically it, right? We have, I think we had a Cardo Scarab in there to get a little bit better map sustain. Greater, that's free chaos, right? There was another chaos. Then we get double essences right here, right? So as you can see, there's no real like huge drops, but you get so much small currency that you can later sell in bulk. This one random thing here. Maybe there's some mobs over here. Maybe another altar. Who knows? Nope, not an altar. Can just keep moving. And I think that was basically it. Now, you can... So basically, we got the chance to drop additional currency, right? So we got 4 of these, 1 of this, and 1 of this. Now imagine what happened if we got, for example, chance to hit scarabs early. That would be a complete shit show, right? You get a ton of value, especially if you hit stuff like expedition scarabs. So this kind of took us like 2-ish minutes, especially if I wasn't talking over it, right? But yeah, you get a lot of incremental small currencies. Now, to be fair, this sort of method might be like kind of a downside for you because you like getting the big drops, right? Like a doctor or something. You just want to farm days and days and then get one doctor instead of getting incremental increases and then selling them all at the end. I get it, right? If that's your thing, then this is not, you're not gonna like this one. But basically what you want to do here is you want to do farming sessions. So you take like 2-3 days and you just farm as much as you can, depending on if you have to work. If you're a student, you have maybe a little bit more time, right? Stuff like that. But basically you want to get to a point where you have enough to sell in bulk. Because if I only had like 2 of each scarab here, it would be a nightmare to sell, right? I would have to, if you sell after every map, this is going to be an absolute nightmare, absolute shit show. So if you want to know more about bulk selling, I actually made a video a while ago that is still up to date, just to give you a little bit of a perspective. But yeah, basically most of your money will come from scarabs. It will also come from essences, but then there's also some other stuff. Number one, you will get a lot of these screaming invitations, and these are like 50C as of this recording, right? So what happens is you're doing these maps and you have certain progress, right? At 14, you're dropping one of the worst maps, which I don't have here. They're like 5C each or something. But then at the completion at 28, you actually get this one here. So after every 28 maps, you get 50 chaos. So that's round about 2 chaos that you just get for free in every map, if you think about it, which is just icing on the cake, right? It's just nice to complete a lot of maps fast. There's a lot of incentives to do so. Now, I also have a lot of itemized sextants here. Now, this is something I would only do if you already have a little bit of currency. If you want to go completely zero investment, don't do this. But if you want to do, this is going to get you even more. So basically, this currency is awesome. Surveyor's Compass, if you go here, right? And you, for example, you apply a sextant, right? I'm just going to sacrifice something real quick. Areas contain 100%. I actually think this one is worth something, funnily enough. Can I search for it? No, I can't search for it right now. I think these are actually, these might actually be quite a bit of monies. So basically what happens is you can itemize a sextant, which is an absolute dream come true because there's stuff like rogue markers that you don't care about, delirium stuff that you don't care about, right? Legion encounters that you don't care about, harbinger stuff that other people are farming, and you can sell it to them for like, there's sextants that sell for 10 chaos, there's sextants that sell for over an exalt. I'm not exaggerating, look them up for yourself. But basically, if you roll sextants, what will happen is you basically just roll until you get good pack size, right? So for example, if I roll this here, this is just more mobs in my map. That means more map drops, more currency drops. That is Strongboxes. I'm going to keep that, right? That's just more fire damage. Now, Metamorph, I could sell this, but I think Metamorph is worth like nothing because you get it so easily. A Smuggler's Cache, this might be worth something. Let's store it. And then we just keep going here. That's just bad. Hunted Traders, I just got juice out of my map, right? And what will happen a lot is you will get these things that actually sell for like 80, 90 chaos. And as of this recording, these sextants are like 2C. So in the end, what will happen is you will at least get your money back and you will be able to, for free, get all of these mods. Now, obviously, this will increase your selling time a bit. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I would definitely always do it. I think it's just free money and free pack size for your maps. But yeah, whether you want to do it or not is definitely up to you. I just wanted to throw it out there. Also, something I want to talk about is the scarab recipe, just in case people don't know it. So what you can do is, right, you can vendor 2 of the same scarab with a Orb of Horizon, and then you get this package here, which is a random scarab of that same tier. So this league, there is some scarabs that are really, really expensive still, even though they drop a lot, and some that are like worth kind of like a portal scroll, right? Kind of. So if you sell this, we just got a bestiary scarab. So we just upgraded to something that's worth like a chaos. That's a lot easier to sell. Sometimes you won't get anything, right? But overall, I feel like this recipe is definitely worth it. So check which ones are worth. For example, like rusted expedition scarabs right now go for like 5. If you have them in bulk, they probably go for like 6 or even 7 chaos, right? So if you can transform some of the bad ones into some of the good ones, that's really, really nice. But yeah, whether you want to do it or not is definitely up to you. I just wanted to throw it out there. So at the end, is this farming method going to be for you? It is definitely going to make you a ton of currency, but you also have to have fun, right? That's the number one thing, because otherwise you're not going to enjoy your time and you're not going to play as much. So that is a less multiplier for your currency. Overall, I would say if you're fine with not getting like big drops. Now, what I will say is that Arcanist Strongbox actually had this happen, I think 3 or 4 times even on stream. I had to double Exalt drops from Arcanists because they obviously get, they all get duplicated, right? So when every currency that you drop from any Strongbox will get duplicated, you never get a singlet. It's not a chance. It's every single time. So that happened a lot. That's a cool drop. But other than that, there's no like doctor card that you're hunting for or anything. So if you don't like selling a lot of small stuff, maybe this won't be for you. But then again, a lot of the most lucrative farming methods just are this way. I would just advise you to kind of look into bulk selling, how to efficiently sell your stuff. Once again, I actually made a video about this like a few months back. I'll link it down in the description. It is still up to date. But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to like put in a little bit of time at the end of your farming session to sell all of this stuff in like bulk, if you're not willing to put in the time to maybe, if you don't know how to bulk sell, learn how to bulk sell, then this method will probably not be for you. But that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. As always, a huge shout out to my Twitch subscribers and my Patreons. I couldn't do videos like this without you. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, I had a ton of fun with this. I'm still continuing to do this. I already have some other things planned. I want to try out a ton of different Atlas trees. I'm going to sacrifice all my Orb of Unmakings just to give you a little bit more of a perspective of what's good, what's bad. I'm also going to tell you if I find something that's just really terrible, right? That's just what it is. If you try out a lot of things, you will stumble upon those things as well. This one overall was definitely a winner. But yeah, with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.